So, hey Aries, my name is Chris, and this is your beautiful reading for whenever you find it. It's not time specific, but it's kind of 2026. We can't ignore that. And what comes... Oh, there's the Sun card. That's a good start, right? So it's not time specific, but it's 2026, that's for sure. Oh, there's a little overthinking energy. And it's not even sign specific, so you can watch this for sun, moon and rising signs. If you want the full picture, check that out as well. There's the Ace of Swords and the King of Swords. So you learned a few things, that's for sure. You know exactly, you know your stuff, right? And there's a new consciousness emerging, a little bit of overthinking energy, so make sure that you're not dropping into lower frequencies. But there's also the Sun, so you're coming out of this. That's a good combination here with the Eight of Swords kind of being a little blocked by, you know, your mind, overthinking, worrying. But at the same time, there's the Sun card, and then there's mastership of your consciousness. And a new consciousness. Okay, there is the Devil, but just when I shuffle the cards, so let's just not freak out. And two more, there's the Victory March. Hey, and the Ten of Pentacles. That's what we like to see here. 6 cards. Let's just do 3 more for the foundation. Yeah, there's more overthinking energy, and the bottom of the deck is the Tower. So, I said it's not time specific, right? This is the Aries reading, Sun, Moon, Rising, you know. It's 2026 nonetheless. We can't ignore that. So it's a seismic shift year. So you have been, most of all, to a huge transformation. We're all going through this in 2026, 2025. It's just the time. So the last 10 years were probably pretty heavy, right? Usually, if you're resonating with this channel, this is kind of an empath channel. So chances are you are more on the empathic side, most likely not a narcissist, right? So empathic human beings, empathic souls had a tough time because it was kind of the time of the narcissist in the last 10 years. So naturally, there is a lot of, overthinking energy. Let's just say it like this. In the foundation, you're looking forward to something. There is a Tower moment here where the old structure is just collapsing. Let's just say how it is, right? And I think I had let me just see. I think it was the Taurus reading where a similar constellation showed up. Yeah, 2025 was kind of the year of hell. 2026 is a very intense year, but the old structure, this is basically the Tower. This represents the old version of yourself. Some structure that is just too tight, right? That can't fit you, that can't accommodate you anymore. This is a house, a structure, a job, a career, a version of yourself that is just not suiting you anymore. So it needs to come down, right? And when I see the Eight of Swords, this is pretty much the corresponding, mindset through the Tower, right? To the structure that is kind of blocking you. So this could be perfectionism. This could be this idea that you're kind of not good enough and you have to prove yourself, right? That you have to, redeem yourself. There's maybe guilt, fear, shame, all that jazz. It's in there. And this is kind of your structure, right? The Tower that is kind of limiting our potential. So it is a mindfuck energy, and it's kind of the time for mindfucks, right? But this Tower, right? The Tower, if you see it more like a limiting belief system or a limiting structure of consciousness, basically, you're seeing this clearly, right? There is the King of Swords and there's the Ace of Swords. So you're freeing yourself from that in the most beautiful way, by the way. Victory March, 10 of Pentacles. The universe is giving you something back. You're immersing yourself in your own creation. And that brings happiness, right? That brings a new consciousness. And, you know, you're showing up as the King of Pentacles. So that's a good tower. That's what I'm trying to tell you. 2026 has probably a few tower moments in stock. That's for sure. But we're coming from a very limiting mindfuck time, right? And the mindfuck, sorry when I say this again and again, it's easier to curse in a foreign language, so pardon my French, right? So the point here is limiting beliefs, guilt, fear, shame, lower frequencies of consciousness. And you're going to raise this consciousness. The tower is collapsing. That might be an old job. That might be an old career path. That might be an old version of yourself. The 10 of Swords is not here. But, you know, 8 of Swords, 9 of Swords is kind of pointing into that direction. You overlooking the landscape. You are internally already sure, okay, I don't want this anymore, right? And it's coming down, right? Whatever it is for you. And then makes you a little worried. You know, what is the next part? Will I be able to, you know, jump on the next thing, right? Life continues, whatever. Whether you're losing people, whether, you know, you're realizing, okay, these people are toxic, narcissistic, abuse, things like that. Or whether it's, you know, a structure of your life, a way of living, even habits, bad habits, if that falls apart, and if that leaves you and gets out of your life, the first reaction is to perceive it as a loss, right? And that makes you a little bit of anxious and overthinking. The most important thing is that you don't look back. You know, everything looks fantastic. We got 3 cards that are a little bit heavy, right? We got the Tower, the old structure collapsing. That is the old structure, that overthinking mindset. Am I good enough? Do I have to prove myself? Who do I think I am? Or who do you think you are, right? We have all heard these limiting beliefs about ourselves, and this is just going. You're good enough. You're a child of the universe. You have a right to be here. So just love yourself, respect yourself just the way you are. You don't have to redeem yourself. You don't have to walk 100 miles through the desert repenting. That's Mary Oliver, Wild Geese, great poem. Check it out. You don't have to do that. You don't have to walk through the desert for 100 miles on your knees repenting. No, you just a divine child of the universe. You have a divine right to be here. So you don't have to redeem yourself. You don't have to justify yourself. You don't have to defend yourself. You know, you're good enough just the way you are. You don't have to prove yourself. And you know that internally, right? There's the Queen of Swords here. You might be a little worried about the outer circumstances, especially if you're switching careers, if you get a new job, something like that, right? That is a stressful phase, right? But you know you deserve better. And with the Queen of Cups, you internally feel it. It's just right. It might be a little stressful. It might be a little, you know, when you think about, oh, tower collapsing, old structure of myself, old way of thinking, old way of living, that is gone. Yeah, what comes next, you know? But you know, that is the question, what comes next, right? 3 of Wands looking into, but this is the foundation, right? You're looking into what is coming, but you already set for it internally. You know it's better than what you had. So don't go back into that tower, right? Somebody might offer you a new tower, right? This is the old tower. It was toxic, but what about the new tower? Why don't you come and live in that new tower that we offer you? So I don't think you want that. You want something better, you want reciprocity, you want joy, you want abundance, and you want to actualize all these beautiful ideas. And there is the Victory March, there is the Sun card, there's the Ten of Pentacles. So success lies in a new version of yourself that is no longer asking for permission to be who you are. You're just unapologetically, authentically being who you are, right? Doing your thing and making happiness a priority, not you don't need to achieve something. Happiness is not something that you get. You're not becoming happy when you check your boxes on your list, so to speak. You know, when I get the degree, I'm happy. When I get the new car, the new house, blah, blah, blah. You know, when I do this and that, then I redeem myself and then I'm worthy of happiness. That's bullshit, right? That's the old limiting structure. That is conditionality, right? If you do this and that, if you check these and these boxes, then you're good enough. And that way of thinking flies out of the window, right? That way of thinking is very limiting. And that way of thinking and that way of living, consequentially, out, away with it, right? And good riddance. And that's the tower that is kind of destroying this old way of thinking. And there will be people who can make that switch and say, okay, I don't need the big car. I don't need the big job title. I don't need, you know, to be someone and something that people might, or I myself might expect of me. I'm good enough just the way I am. And that is a big, big step. And if you realize that step and focus on that, be yourself a friend, be yourself enough, then you can just, then you're already in this frequency of the new consciousness. Then you already learned the lesson. That was the lesson. Overthinking, you know, going through overthinking mode, going through limiting structures, mindfuck energies. And there comes a moment when you say, oh, wait a minute, I get it. I don't need to become something. I can just be, and, you know, you're a divine child of the freaking universe. And you have a divine right to be here just the way you are. Bang, there's your discernment, there's your new consciousness. And if you truly act accordingly, not just feeling it internally, that's the Queen of Cups, but acting accordingly, speaking your truth, even if your voice is shaking, and just being yourself, actualizing that potential, that new version of yourself. And this has everything to do how you work with your mind, with your intellect, how you use your mind. Not to worry, not to catastrophize, right? Every now and then we tap into this trap. We might, you know, tap back into our little tower of, oh my God, I'm so worried, you know, but, you know, you just do what you can with what you've got where you are. And you can be calm and centered and cultivate inner peace in doing so. And even if the world is a mess right now, and even if a lot of structures in your life, just like in society as a whole, a lot of old structures are just no longer working. And society is going through a huge transformation. Humanity is going through a huge transformation. So it all comes down to our personal lives and happens there as well. But if you keep your inner peace, if you rest within the knowledge that you are good enough, that you love yourself, that you respect yourself, then everything you do is coming from that inner peace, that inner feeling of being enough, nothing to prove, nothing to hide. that is your victory march. That is the Sun card. And if you are maintaining that frequency, you're just creating beautiful stuff. That's the 10 of Pentacles. There's a lot of coins here, right? 10 of Pentacles, it can mean wealth, abundance, and prosperity. There, I said it. But it doesn't mean that you win the lottery every time you got the 10 of Pentacles. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Sorry, but, it means that if you cultivate your inner light, if you take care of your inner light, through the knowledge that the inner emotional security and the inner peace that you are good enough just the way you are, nothing to prove, nothing to hide, right? And you act accordingly, right? If somebody doesn't like you, that's okay. You don't need external approval all the freaking time. If you're in that tower, if you're constantly worried that somebody might find out your dirty little secret, right? Or what porn you watched 10 years ago or whatever. If you're living in that frequency, you're easily manipulated. Everybody can bring you in a frequency of guilt, fear, shame, right? And that is not a good way to live. That is a very limiting way of living, where you're constantly trying to hide aspects of yourself, trying to negate aspects of yourself. But if you truly know yourself, if you truly accept yourself, that's Carl Jung's shadow integration stuff. If you can truly love yourself and realize, okay, I'm just who I am. I'm just good enough as I am, nothing to hide, nothing to prove, then you're already there, right? And that is a consciousness thing. And that is your victory march. Sun card, 10 of Pentacles, just being in that beautiful frequency. And I'm doing a few clarifiers, right? There's something that you held on. You're not, that tower moment that's happening, right? What's left is enough. That is what I'm hearing. What's left is enough. And there's also the Ace of Wands. So it's not just intellect, there's passion. But passion doesn't mean that you need to suffer for anything. Passion can just mean that you have repeated joy. And more, there's the third ace now. Are you kidding me? Happiness. The new currency is frequency. Are you kidding me? The new currency is frequency. And that's the Sun card connected. Okay, the Sun card is pretty much connected to the 10 of Pentacles with the Ace of Pentacles. So this is the potential. Wait a minute. I think it should be more like this. If you read, I'm not sure how you read it. If you're going from the Sun to the 10 of Pentacles, this is your inner light that you're just nurturing and protecting. That's your inner peace. That's your feeling of I'm good enough, right? That's speaking your truth. That is letting your light shine, not hiding your light, not dimming your light for anybody. And that holds the potential for wealth, abundance, and prosperity, and just you immersing yourself in your own beautiful creation. And there's the 2 of Swords here and the 5 of, that tower. Bottom of the deck, of the big deck is the tower. Bottom of the little clarifier deck is the 5 of Wands. So that tower is not that dramatic. It might, whatever happens in your life right now, it might be enough to get you every now and then into that worrying, overthinking mindset, right? But it's just a little test, right? It's not that serious. You just trust the universe, something will come up, and you get so much. You get 3 aces. You little freak. You little freak have 3 aces, right? So there's so much here. Potential, and mastership as well. You know your worth, you love yourself. Philautia is the channel's name. Self-love. Not in a grandiose narcissistic way, but also not in an altruistic self-negating way. There needs to be a balance, and that balance of I'm good enough, so I know my own worth, but I'm not narcissistic. And I'm just by doing that, having a healthy version of self-love, you're automatically treating people right. It just comes natural to you. And there's your altruism as well in there. So you're naturally helping people if you make sure you're in a frequency, in a good, healthy frequency. Because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You always have to start with yourself. Make sure that you're okay. Make sure that, everything is provided that you need. And then you can give something. And if you, do that, that is already practicing self-love. If you're an empathic being, it comes naturally. You're just radiating, you're letting your light shine, right? And that in itself is manifesting beautiful stuff. 10 of Pentacles, 6 of Wands, the victory march is here. And it started, there is heaviness here, but this is a reading where I'm telling you, face your face towards the sun and let the shadow fall behind you, something like that, right? I'm doing one Blue Angel Oracle deck card, and there's Abundance Mandala. Number 37, that's a great number as well. And Abundance Mandala, we got the 10 of Pentacles here, and I said it's not necessarily about money for freaking sake. But we get the Ace of Pentacles here, the 10 of Pentacles, and now there's the Abundance Mandala. And it says here, right, prosperity. As you meditate upon this beautiful mandala, notice how its pulsating energy draws your attention to its light-filled center. Feel the frequencies and colors flow through your body, mind, and soul. Life is magical. Every moment is brimming with creativity and potential. Be mindful of the enchantment around you. Feel the light and life force within you and imagine your energy embracing the entire world. Keep your focus on whatever you are doing at the present moment in time. Abundance is yours. Believe this and begin to see opportunities surrounding you. The energy of creation is inexhaustible. It is forever within you. The universe is listening. Why not speak to her? The universe loves you. Why not accept her love? The universe is inside you. Why journey far away? One breath and you are here. In the here and now. Being enough, not trying to prove anything to anybody, not trying to redeem yourself, not walking through the desert for 100 miles on your knees, repenting. Mary Oliver, Wild Geese. Check that out. It's super, super zen and important. Let's just take Skunk Spirit because it really jumps at me. Know your worth, Skunk Spirit. You might be a little stinky skunk, but hey, you're a divine expression of the universe, and you have every right to be. Never, ever, ever, ever forget that. Again, it looks like you might have a tendency, like all empathic beings have this tendency of being overly critic about themselves and always questioning and introspecting and thinking, oh, maybe I did something wrong. No. Sometimes shit just happens, right? Sometimes structures just collapse. You can make everything right and still lose. You can still have a tower moment and everything falls apart. But you know what? As long as you know your worth, Skunk Spirit, and cultivate your inner light and breathwork and meditation. If there is negative energy with thoughts energy, overthinking, mind-fucking energy, oh my God, help, I'm worrying so much and what comes next and blah, blah. Meditation and breathwork. Breathwork, 5 seconds in, 10 seconds out. You should actually do more like 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out. Whatever you can do, halfway comfortable, You shouldn't get dizzy or anything, but you should really breathe it out. And really push it out. The last breath should be really pushed out. Don't get dizzy. Try that for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes, however you need it, right? And then do the same time in meditation, just sitting still, shutting up, letting your monkey mind do its thing if it does its thing. And you just sit there. You know, nothing to do. You just sit there. You're cultivating being enough right here, right now. It's surprising how many people are freaking scared about that. We are called to be architects of the future, not its victims, Buckminster Fuller. And the way you are the architect, I'm putting this to the Sun card because inner peace, knowing your worth, letting your light shine, that's how it's done. All the elements for your happiness are already here. There's no need to run, strive, search, or struggle. Just be. That's just a nice picture, right? That it's forming here. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. That's Kierkegaard. And systematically root out people in your life who use you, lie to you, put you down, disrespect you. You know, and whatever this is, sometimes you're the lightning that strikes the tower. Sometimes you're the tower. Sometimes you're one of these people, or all two of these people, who fall out of the tower, right? But sometimes you have to get rid of people who are just toxic. And then you're the lightning, and then you're striking the tower. Sometimes the tower strikes you, right? So, que sera, sera. This is a deeper one. That's one, Krishna. You don't have a soul. You messed it up. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. And you have a body. So it's all about frequency. That's Sun card. Letting your light shine. Unapologetically know your worth, you're enough, and then everything falls into place. And I talked about this. Tower could also mean that you're kicking a few people out of your life who were just not good for you. Sometimes it is better to be alone, and actually I would say it's always better to be alone than in bad company. Somebody probably out there needs to hear that. So only take what resonates with you. Don't make it fit, right? Never make it fit. If there's something where you think, oh, that's just not for me, leave it for someone else. That's always the case. And then that's all I got, right? Share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it. Check out your yearly reading, check out your spring reading and sun, moon, rising, whatever. Now, goodbye, my friend. I hope to see you next time. Ciao.